Imagine a place where the boundaries of age, industry, background, and culture melt away, replaced by a shared desire to explore the depths of our collective experiences here on the open, shaded porch. Amidst an atmosphere of serenity and tranquility, leaders from all walks of life gather to share their stories, the stories that shape their very beings and doings. This is the Knowledge Mindfulness Porch with Laila Marouf.
Rana Al-Nibari joins me on the porch this week. As the Director General of the Institute of Banking Studies in Kuwait, Rana helps develop Kuwait's financial service sector through innovative education and trainings programs. She's a visionary leader and a passionate change agent, committed to empowering youth and driving economic prosperity in Kuwait. Rana, I know you're not feeling well this morning, so first I would like to thank you for taking the time to join us today.
Well, thank you, Laila. It's exciting to be here. I think there's a bug going around, so...
Worldwide,
so
my dear. So let's start, Rana. So as you know, I've worked in academia for 15 years, focusing on human capital development and, always wondering how to do that in the best way. Of course, now everything evolves around human capital development. And you being the Director General of the Kuwait Institute of Banking and Studies, I'm really curious to know, what are your strategies, vision, when it comes to building human capital in the banking and finance industry?
Laila, I think this is where me and you see a lot of eye to eye, I would say. I think that throughout my career, Laila, what's really driven me the most is the effect and the drive to impact the development of youth, the development when I was in Injaz, and today the development of the manpower in the banking and finance industry. As we lead those, very interesting positions, it's also a challenge, Laila. The challenge, of course, is the change and the world that we belong to that's overwhelmingly just going through an upheaval of, continuous development and continuous. And it's that feeling that, no matter what you do today, there's so much going on around the world that you need to adapt to. Having said that, I think that in the end, we do compartmentalize the education within the banking industry into a couple of mainstreams, I would say. One of which is the strive to have opportunities for people to acquire hardcore skill sets that are applicable directly to the banking industry. And I think that is done through, let's say, if someone is at the level of mid-management and to proceed in their careers, they need to get XYZ. And this is where the Institute of Banking Industry comes in and says, this certification is what's required for you or for you to further develop your career. On the other hand, there is all the opportunities to do development on the softer skills. Very much requires, and I think today we overwhelmingly look at leadership, and there's so much out there in terms of institutions that offer worldwide top leadership development, as well as books and what have you that could push people towards adopting what is best practice. So we do all of this, Laila, and hope that by the end of the year that we've given the banking industry a good opportunity and a good array of products that they could use within their, let's say, HR capabilities.
That's wonderful to hear. I think, like you said, Bill Gates once said, people don't realize what's coming. And I think we are living in such a world right now that sometimes it's mind-boggling to think even about the future, because we can't even imagine what kind of future we're going to have. So thinking of it this way is just makes me always think, so how do I prepare, the youth? How do we prepare that human capital development we were talking about if we don't even know what kind of future we're even looking at? But saying that, I think how I see it personally, the challenge of AI is just incredible, in my opinion. And I think what Bill Gates is referring to is that people don't realize yet the full effect of AI and how it's going to change the work landscape, the markets, the jobs. And I don't know if you are thinking of that in your strategy, in your vision, and how are you preparing for the role of AI in the banking industry?
Certainly, Laila. I think when you think about all the challenges, you're talking about geopolitical, you're talking about, so many challenges and when they come together, it just becomes overwhelming. And I think that the development in technology is just a sheer one of them. In moving forward, and in my view, AI has been applicable to the banking industry as it has been applicable in many other industries. And we brought those into the classrooms, speaking to people about how you can navigate that technology change. And I think that, again, when we look at the banking industry belonging to Kuwait, Laila, and we know that as an industry, it is one of the industries that we see has been on the development side compared to others. So we've adapted it. We brought it as part of the packages in knowledge and in so many other capacities. And I think one of the most important things, Laila, to consider, you need to be part of that change and not just preach it, right? So there were instances where I saw myself, wondering about how am I going to be one of those people that adapts with AI and all those changes. And I put myself in a classroom. And it was challenging, to be honest. And it just gave me the opportunity later to look back and say, what kind of world did we belong to prior to this? And what are the capabilities that are helping us grow in this new world? And it's so many things, such as, having the characteristic of, being someone who is adaptable, being someone who is not afraid of change and is willing to put themselves in these open situations. And I think first and foremost is eager to learn. And I think having those attributes, Laila, then everything else becomes an add-on. So we've added on that AI, and I look forward to instilling those skill sets within the Institute of Banking Studies across departments, across different sectors. But it would be interesting to see that growth.
That's wonderful to hear about the pros of AI and how you can implement, all these pros in your workplace, in developing their know-how and skills. But sometimes what I kind of feel a bit hesitant of is, what about the cons? Do we really, really understand that there are also cons that we can be aware of? And I don't know, reading, talking to people, it just scares me sometimes. I don't like to even the word fear or being scared. It's maybe being wisely cautious, I would say, about the cons of AI in taking the power from humans to make decisions. So the algorithms, they're already deciding what to promote, what to dress, what to buy, what to eat, who to vote for. And slowly, I don't know, but you just feel like it's integrating our lives in a way that they can take that power of taking our own decisions, our own thinking of how we choose between different alternatives in our lives. So I look at this sometimes and I just hope that humans won't become robots and the robots won't take the place of humans around. So I think there's a lot of that perspective that goes into my mind, because algorithms are surrounding us in so many ways that I don't know, I can imagine in banks, in the financial industry, how maybe in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, imagine you're going there to ask for a loan and, it's not someone there who can tell you, no, you're not eligible or you are, but an algorithm would decide that because things are getting so complex that we can't even grasp all that. So this is what I feel sometimes we're missing when we're talking about tech, because I know there's the internet that came, to our lives, and we were so fearful at the beginning of, taking and implementing many of those tools. But I think now the consequences are higher when it comes to, if something doesn't work or, if we can't grasp kind of the effect, the cons, and looking at the pros too, because these are opportunities. So saying that, I mean, even how do you advise the youth who are surrounded with gadgets all the time, who are surrounded with all these effects? What are you doing about the youth in your life first, the immediate youth in your family, before even I can go and speak about the youth in your industry?
I listen to you and I know that everything that you've said is definitely resonating with me. But in looking at, the bigger picture, we need to get ahead of it rather than stay on the sidelines and continue having those fears. I think there's no merit in being part of those changes if you are on the sidelines. So having said that, I think that, understanding those algorithms, understanding how today, as we see this industry developing, the application of AI developing, we need to be part of the decision making. When I talk about AI, and my excitement is on the productivity side. And I feel this is where, everything that you talked about is just exciting, because we today live in an environment where we talk about, human capital development, and we talk about, outcomes, and we talk about the challenges that we have. And imagine, empowering everyone with the opportunity to times their output and productivity by 200, by 2000. That's crazy in my mind. And it just gets me very excited. And I feel that when it comes to, the development in AI and making decisions, I feel that everything that I've been exposed to, and I haven't been exposed to everything, Laila, but as I'm getting to learn about the application of it, I see that there are many, many instances where the algorithms are changing by putting in your inputs. So as we put in our inputs more, then we see different results coming out. So again, being part of that movement. When we talk about youth, that's where I believe that they need to be overseen and they need to be monitored, because they don't have, unfortunately, the maturity to deal with everything that's being put forward to them. What I do, I'm one of those not very popular mothers, Laila, where I have screen time and I have to allow my kids to get on something or not get on something, to download or not to download. So I have constant arguments with my kids. But hopefully, I'm hoping one day they'll look back and say, "Oh, we see why those arguments were, took place, and it comes from a place of love and a place of wanting to protect them."
I totally understand where you come from. Definitely, I don't know. I was like that one day, and I think as the years go by, you kind of think that I want to evolve from being a manager to being a leader. And that means less control, less dictation, and more guidance, more nurturing, creating an environment where they can grow, they can make their own decisions. But as you said, what I think sometimes puts us on hold in applying that is their knowledge maturity. And I think this is something I'm advocating for so much in the knowledge mindfulness framework, because I believe it's just like the skill of swimming. Instead of me just closing the door where the swimming pool area is, because I'm just afraid if they can jump in the pool, they don't know how to swim, then they can, drown. Why not teach them how to swim? And then I don't have to close the door, because even if they fall, they can survive, they can swim. So in a way, I look at this the same way, that I think in today's world, especially in the workplace, it's easy to put monitors and to put, there's a lot of companies out there, they're having all these monitors, especially with this work at home thing. Again, how do you make your workers responsible from within themselves? How do they take the responsibility of their learning, of their actions, of their behaviors, which is not easy. And I think it takes a process. It takes time to build all that. So yes, I do agree with you, definitely. But saying that, going back to your development and your learning, where are the resources that you think really kind of attract you, enrich you? Where do you go first for, let's say, leadership development?
I think going back to your previous point, Laila, I think what needs to be done within the workplace is so many things that need to change. And here we are talking about change again. But one of the key things is empowerment in the house, empowering your kids to understand the ramifications of decisions that they make, and those that you believe that age appropriate. It might be even better if you are there to supervise. Not dictate, but as an additional eye to overlook those innocent souls, taking it to where I see myself. I feel that, Laila, I've been lucky enough to belong to this YPO organization, and through YPO, I've been able to access amazing opportunities for development. This would be today my first model of navigation and looking at what I can do. The second is I belong to the sector in education, and I think that I have access to many organizations, many institutions worldwide, and even in Kuwait, that do offer opportunities always for development. One of the key things that I've been deeply excited about is my quest to learn more about board management and how to be a model board of director. And it's always been something that excited me. And today I've found the right opportunity, and I've injected myself in this. And it's no less than a year in making, but looking forward to learning more and looking forward to that development.
Wonderful. That's really, really nice to hear. But one question. What kind of brings that smile to your face when you talk about a certain program? What attracts you especially to this program? Is it the content? Is it the method? Is it making you think about things? What exactly is there that's sparking that?
Knowledge. I think I've always been, Laila, an avid learner. I feel that it is a blessing when you do have the opportunities to say, I'm putting myself in this program, or I'm listening to this person or another. I feel that is an advantage and an opportunity where it gives me a feeling of blessing that I'm able to do this. So that puts a smile to my face. Additionally, Laila, I feel that my quest for learning has always been one of the key drivers. So going into different organizations, and I've been one of those people that has changed career multiple times. And again, I find myself in a position where I need to learn, and there's a lot of unknown. But I love that period where you're bringing about the team, and you're developing yourself, and you're learning about a new area. It's just exciting for me.
I think that's really amazing, because we're so aligned in that. I mean, you see that excitement of not knowing, and then kind of researching and discovering, new things. Wow, that fire, that we're hoping to put out there in the world, especially with our youth, right? This is what we need. I really, really think so. But do you think any of those programs that you were looking into or you're offering in the Institute, what do they miss in your your opinion, your perspective? If you were to design any of these programs yourself, what would you add? What would you delete? How would you enrich just to fit in today's transformational world that we're living in?
What a great question, Laila, because I this is one of the questions that keeps me up. And it keeps me up for many reasons, because, as we belong to these institutions, you don't have a finite resource, right? You don't have infinite, apologies, you don't have infinite resources. You have, your set of resources, and that is what goes into the product and development. It is about the space. And when you think about a program, it is about the space. It's about the person who is delivering the program, and then it's the program itself, and what the goals of that program entails. Towards your question, I believe that what is missing is the opportunity to personalize that program to that person. So today, Laila, we are still in a stage where we have 30 people in front of us, and we try to bring in a cohesive, let's say, group of people, but it's not always the same. And I feel that if there was an opportunity to do something about this, it would be, how do you personalize it? How do I make it even more effective for each and every single individual who's interested today? I don't know how that resonates with you, Laila.
No, amazing, because it just hits a chord, because I think our own learning, when you look back, we kind of learned in an older educational system where I feel that was more equipped to the industrial age. One size fits all. That's why we have that standardized test. And that's why so many people kind of thought they were never smart enough, never good enough. Not because they are or they were, because the system made them think that way and feel that way. And I think more and more now we are going towards the personalized approach in education, because we're realizing that each one of us, each one of our children, all these people around the world, everyone, they have their own special purpose, the special talent. Nobody on this earth that does not have that. And when you have an educational system that is kind of like a cookie cutter, that's where all the problems happen. And these are problems that a lot of people take all along their lives. I sit with adults right now, and someone would tell me, I didn't do good in school. I was dumb. I was this. And I say, no. That's such a myth that they make you believe. Oh, I wasn't good enough. I was dumb in school. I was this. Because everyone has that spark. It's just realizing what it is. So going to the personalized approach, definitely, it will help in kind of rediscovering what is in there and bringing it out there. Because each one of us, they kind of fit with the other. And that's why team building and that's why collaboration and cooperation is so much needed in today's organizations, because they're realizing that each one has their own spark. They have their own talent. So how do we make the best out of the whole parts being together, the unity and not the separation? So yes, definitely I agree with you. And definitely I see that more and more coming, especially in 12K students and schools around the world where they are kind of embracing that. But sometimes it's harder in higher education, in adult learning. It's not there yet. I don't see it as much. And I think this is where I feel my heart really, really resides. How do we develop that? How do we assess each one's what I call knowledge maturity, and accordingly, you can specify their needs and what they need to learn. Where are their gaps? Because each one is different. You could be here, I could be here. So why both of us are taking the same materials, same way? Even learning styles were so different. I can absorb, for instance, visually. You can absorb, you have to hear, you have to write. So each one is so different. And just imagine if we kind of embrace each one's potential. What a world we're living in. What a world. Wow, wow, wow.
Well, I think, Laila, then you'd agree with me that in today's world, we do need diversity. And I think that, as you mentioned, making everyone feel like, even those with a different kind of mindset, a different kind of talent, that is what's required today. And I feel with all the changes that's going on in the world, we do need all kinds of leaders, and we need all kinds of learners as well. If I had a magic wand, that would be the one.
Actually, even going back to AI, when we were talking about the cons, I think that is something to keep in mind, is the diversity in your workplace. Because again, if you have a diverse talent, and each one of them has their own perspective, so they ask, different questions, different biases, different this and different that, then you are not emphasizing a certain perspective when, you're using all these tools. So that's something else also to think about when using AI in the workforce. It is very important to have diverse input when using these tools. I want to really get into how these tools can help future generations. But we have to stop here. Next time on the Knowledge Mindfulness Porch, Rana Al-Nibari will also share what brings joy to her life.
As I go through my day and do that little mental checklist and say, check, I feel very good about this aspect of my life, and I feel good about that aspect of my life. If I have had good interactions with people and it's meaningful and deep, Laila, it does make me very happy. It's the happiness that lives longer than something that's monetary or something that is perhaps fickle in a way or another.
You have been listening to the Knowledge Mindfulness Porch with Laila Marouf. If you want to join the movement of knowledge mindfulness and shape the world of tomorrow, go to drlailamarouf.com. The Knowledge Mindfulness Porch is a production of Forbes Books.